Phase 3 DMVPN. Super simple, 2 commands. That's all we really have to know in the confines of CCIE Route Switch version 5. And one command's going to be done on the hub, one command's going to be done on the spokes. Let's take a look at it. But first, like I said, what I want to do is I want to remove this OSPF configuration that we have so that we are not going to be contending with that. So config T, no router OSPF 1, do show run interface tunnel 0. And I want to interface tunnel 0. I'm going to take out my configs here. So we're going to say no IP OSPF network broadcast. So let me grab these. Config T, interface tunnel 0, paste. And it figures. Every time I ever try to get efficient, I always shoot myself in the foot. No router OSPF 1, 5. So all I'm doing is I'm removing the routing protocol so that it's not going to give us any issues with regard to resolution. No router OSPF 1, end show IP protocols, and we should only be running EIGRP 1000. So now, how do we configure Phase 3 DMVPN? Dirt simple. Go to the hub, type under the logical interface, IP NHRP, and the command that we're going to be looking for here is going to be IP redirect. It'll be, sorry, redirect, not IP redirect. Minimum configuration. All right, we're halfway there now. So let's take a look at what's going on our spokes. So here's the situation. When we receive traffic and we've configured the IP NHRP redirect configuration, what we've done is we've told the NHS server, or the next hop server, that you now have the ability to communicate to the spoke and say, I am a suboptimal path. What I want you to do is I want you to use this information I'm sending you to reach that spoke directly. Now, when we go in and we do the configuration, there needs to be matching configuration on the spokes. And again, it's a super simple command. We go in to the spoke, interface tunnel 0, and we say IP NHRP shortcut. And we hit enter. Now what that means is that we now are saying, well, if you receive shortcut information, i.e. a redirect message from the next hop server or from the hub, go ahead and process it. So in other words, we have enabled with the IP NHRP redirect command on the hub the ability to send information or to send a message, and the IP NHRP shortcut allows us to be able to listen to the command and act on it when we receive it. And that's all there is to it. We do this on all the spokes, and we do this on our hub, the redirect on the hub, the shortcut on the spokes, and we're now operating in a Phase 3 DMVPN. So let's see if we can't make that real. So let's see, interface tunnel 0, IP NHRP shortcut, and on 6, config T, interface tunnel 0, IP NHRP shortcut. All right, now let's take a look at the behavior now. So do we have any routing protocols? Show IP protocols. Just EIGRP 1000, and notice that we do have an entry in here for next hop resolution protocol. All right, so that's exactly what I would expect to see. So if I do show IP route, the only information that I'm going to see is going to be the information that I'm learning via BGP, via EIGRP and via my connected. So there's EIGRP for my serial interfaces and EIGRP for the loopback on R3. So ping 3333 is going to bypass the tunnels. All right, so now what we want to do is, well, let's look at this. So show DMVPN detail. Notice there's really nothing in here that's telling us much about anything with regard to how we're operating with regard to DMVPN. Now, what I want to do is I want to get rid of these. Actually, those are dynamic. So let's go ahead and take a look at anything that may be static still or dynamic still on the hub, on the spokes. So exit, show IP or show DMVPN. Clear clear IP in HRP. That should get rid of everything except my static. We'll do that on 5. Clear IP in HRP. Show DMVPN. Show or clear IP in HRP. Show DMVPN. Show NHR or IP NHRP detail. All right, there we go. Show run interface tunnel 0, and what do we see? There's the shortcut. So right now what we have in our configuration is a system, or our system is up and operational, running the idea of phase 3. Now, when it comes to phase 3, what we're doing is we're actually, like I said, we're allowing the hub to send messages to the spokes. And that's going to allow the system to be able to do resolution and to identify the information necessary to reach our spokes. But the other thing is it also lends us the capability of being able to radically enhance the performance of our system. And again, it's going to be through the use of these redirects and these shortcut messages. Now, I mean, that's pretty much all the configuration that we need to be able to do. But what I want to do now is I want to explore EIGRP running on top of this. Like I said, this is a pretty brief topic, nothing huge. But what we'll do is let's go ahead and just enable EIGRP on the tunnels and advertise our loopbacks. So let's go ahead and make that happen. So on R2, config T, router, EIGRP 100, network 222, and network 10, 10, 10, 2. So let's see here, network 10, 10, 10, 4, 5, all right, and lastly 6. I have EIGRP on the brain, guys. I'm sorry. All righty. Let's see what we got now. Let's cut over to R2, show IP, EIGRP neighbors. And notice we have our peerings, our queue counts are 0, so we should be good to go. Let's see what our routing table looks like. Show IP route, EIGRP 100, and we should see 4, 5, and 6. Let's test reachability. Ping 6.6.6.6, and ping 5.5.5.5. and ping 4.4.4.4. All right, let's take a look at what's going on our spokes. Show IP route, EIGRP 100, and the only thing we're learning is 2, and again, we know why. We're only learning about 2 because split horizon is on by default on the interface. So let's go over and let's change that on the tunnel interface on R2. Config T, interface tunnel 0. And what are we going to do? I'm going to say no IP split horizon EIGRP 100. And now when I cut over, I should start seeing all of my prefixes, which now we see that we can. All right, so Simple enough, easy enough. Now, there was another issue, remember, that we were talking about. Show IP route to 6.6.6.6. Now, here's the situation. Notice it says that we learned it from 10.10.10.2, and we are going to send it to 10.10.10.2. Why? Because EIGRP does that next hop modification. But let's explore something before we just dive in and start ripping off config. Now, what we want to do here is we want to make certain that we have the capacity and the capability of being able to deal with that. So when we have phase 3, what we're going to do is we do not necessarily have to use the no EIGRP next hop self command. Let's take a look at it. Let's do a show. Whoops, I'm in the wrong spot. Let's do a show DMVPN. See, I only have my static entry. I'll take myself out of the equation here. I only have my static entry. So let's see if I can ping 666. So let's do a trace route first. So we'll do trace route 6.6.6.6. We traverse the hub. But now we only go 1. Now let that sink in. The first packet had to traverse the next hop server. No problem. However, the second packet went directly to R6. Let's take a look at our routing table. Show IP route for 6.6.6.6. Notice it never changed. It says use 10, we learned it from 10.10.10.2, and it says still reach it via 10.10.10.2. Now the problem is that before in phase 2, remember, we had to go into the EIGRP process and we had to say no EIGRP no next hop self. So stop the next hop self modification. We haven't done this in this configuration. Let's take a look at do show run interface tunnel 0. All right, let's see. We got no split horizon, but we have no entry in here that says anything about stopping the next hop self modification. Then why does it work? It didn't work in phase 2. In phase 2, remember, no matter what we did, traffic traversed the hub. Well, the reason it changed, or the reason it's modified, is because of the fact that we use the redirect command. Now the redirect, the IP NHRP redirect command on the hub says, I'm a less than optical path to reach this destination. Go ahead and create a dynamic spoke going to that particular, a dynamic tunnel going to that particular spoke and take me out of the equation. The IP NHRP shortcut command says, oh, well, we're going to listen to those commands and we're going to act on them. If I did not have the IP NHRP shortcut command on the spoke, it would still continue to use the hub. That's all I'm trying to make you understand. It's just an optimization, and it's the only thing that's part of the config that's associated with phase 3 that we need to worry about in the context of the CCIE version 5 exam. Now, let's take a look at a couple of more outputs here. I got questions regarding some things here, so let's take a look at what's going on. Show IP route to 6.6.6.6. So let's take show IP ceph for 6.6.6. Notice the difference. So the IP routing table is telling us that we're going to use that next hop. However, what ended up happening is the redirect command on the hub has informed us, and it's been placed in our ceph table. And what's going to end up happening here is that this ceph configuration is going to tell us which device and which interface that we're going to use to reach the destination. All right, we'll explore this a little bit more detail in the next video on demand series that we do with regard to some of the advanced features that we're going to be able to employ and to implement. But right now I really think that we've covered the gist of running EIGRP. All I really want to do right now is see if we can cover OSPF, and then we're going to wrap up this particular portion of the video. So give me a little bit of time to change everything over, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we talk about OSPF in phase 3 deployments. All right, I'll see you guys in that video on demand.